the ability to coach effort and extract consistent effort week. I've gone through it. Brisbane Port first round. Brisbane, Melbourne second round.
Yeah.
I mean, the change, Melbourne first round and then Melbourne second round.
Yeah.
The Dogs against the Saints and then the Dogs on the weekend. The Cats against the Suns, you know. And that's just effort, isn't it? That's just like what's going on up here. How invested are you? And why are we getting such variation with professional athletes?
In just 3 rounds. I mean,
3 rounds.
There's not many clubs that have had a consistent 3 weeks. St Kilda, you would say, have. Collingwood definitely have. I'd say Essendon have been pretty consistent, even though they lost that game. Melbourne have had a bad one. Brisbane have had a bad couple. I mean, in the end, there's only been 3 teams that have been consistent.
Why is the variation
Maybe
between, you know, to your eye, what you just showed then from the Suns, their want to push back, their willingness to get across. There's no way Geelong are playing at the intent. I mean, this is not rocket science.
Yeah.
What we saw towards the end of last year to what we're seeing now is a mile apart. So what happens there? Who's responsible for that?
I think there's no doubt that the game has opened up a bit. So when you talk about offence, I think your defence can drop away. And maybe we're seeing that with Geelong. But getting the balance right, it's a tough ask. And there's no doubt that Ross Lyon is coaching from defence first. And to defend well as a team, you need 18 blokes looking after one another. You don't need that necessarily in offence. But I reckon start with contest and D, and then you build your offence from that. And I think St Kilda, I think Collingwood have done it, even though they're really attacking. I think they do it off the back of really good D and really
No
good
problem.
contest.
I think the comps, it's a good question, guys. I think the comps becoming more and more even each year we go. And so therefore you only need to be 2 or 3% off, 5% off, which they're human. They're human. That's how you can get results.
I'm not embarrassing you two. The amount of times that you went out to play, I'm not saying you had great games every game, but in terms of effort, I would think on one hand, and for whatever reason, I don't know what it'd be, but you could be criticised for some things, but effort wouldn't be one of them. And then we go into Brisbane and we're looking at Daniher and Hipwood now, particularly, you know, and we're trying to work out, is the mix going to be right? Modern day forward, shape, size, mental capacity to be able to, you know, play a role that is demanded of a 6'6", 6'7" big forward. Have they got what they need here? And it's a debated question over the last 24, 48 hours, and it's a really interesting one. They've got 2 very similar types of players, and neither of them, it would seem, suited to what you need from a big dog.
Well, absolutely. It goes 3 contested marks between Hipwood and Daniher for the year. It's in 3 games. That's a terrible return. Now, I think they're starting to see that McStay has been missed. He seemed to be the bullocking, straight down the line type forward that was able to contest and compete. But I think any key forward needs to be reliable and predictable to his teammates. And I'm not seeing reliable and predictable teammates in Hipwood and Daniher at the moment. And that's a problem for the Brisbane Lions. They've got to sort it out.
Well, I look at these edits, and in these 2 players, they look like they could be first or second year gangly tall forwards who are coming out of TAC who can't be expected to give any more than cameos here and there. Like, but they're veterans.
They're preliminary final key forwards.
I understand that, but look the body shape, and they're not going to be able to change body shape in a week or 2 or 3 or 4, and they might not have the right body type, but I reckon. Like you need,
but they've shown in finals.
You need to be a big, solid unit, consistently providing aerial contests down the line. That is not an easy job to do in the modern game, and you're not going to take contested marks left, right, and centre. Aaron Norton throws himself at the contest. Now he is a consistent target for the Western Bulldogs. That's what Daniher and Hipwood need to share.
Can
the role
they be reprogrammed? Because the flow-on effect of that is, and we could also show you some numbers of the smaller Brisbane Lions who've had no impact.
Yeah.
My argument to that is they turn around and go, okay, tell me where the ball's going so I can get to the foot of the big dog. So tell me where the front and square's going to be. Tell me where the predictability in ball flight is so I can actually do what I'm supposed to do. Right now it's going here, there and everywhere, and there's no predictable to them pattern in the way they play.
That's right, absolutely. That's why I think they need to play 2 ruckmen, and you like to see McInerney being the main guy to play more forward or play enough time forward, because he's the guy with a bit of mongrel there. He's good down the line. He's taken 5 contested marks.
Well, let's cut to the chase. You're the archetypal what we're talking about. Are they a premiership duo in the key post for Brisbane?
No, they're not. Not at the moment. Clearly they're not.
Can they get there?
I've got my doubts. I've got serious doubts.
So what would you do?
Well, you need to support him more with McInerney. I think McInerney's the guy that can take the mark and make the contest down the line. I think Fort's a capable ruckman. I know it's been tossed up about Hipwood going into defence. I'm not sure about that. It's probably similar to a Darcy Moore situation, but I'd be willing to persist with that at the moment, the way it is with Hipwood, Daniher and McInerney a bit more forward, and obviously Gunston flying around. But Gunston shouldn't be in the team, Gaz, as the big key position forward like he's having to be at times.
If Darcy Fort came as a second ruck, one of them has to go.
One
of them has to go. Or one of them has to learn a second ruck. That's for the balance of the team.
Can't play big enough.
You know the irony of this? I watched Carlton on the weekend, right? So I watched them play. They've got a rooster problem. You know,
Oh, rooster problem.
I went and I looked at these two big, and they're roosters. Those two blokes we just saw are bantams.
Yeah.
So I spoke to my rooster mate. This is what he said. He says when you've got multiple roosters, there'll be the occasional squabble, and for most parts that's okay. Those squabbles can get dangerous if there's not enough space. If your birds are too crowded together, you may see serious problems.
I like this.
That's come straight out of the rooster etiquette book.
Google.
Yes. So it's exactly what's happened here. You've got two big dog roosters who have both won Coleman medals, and this is where the problem is. They're getting into each other's space. Charlie has had moments this year where he's looked electric. He's kicked 5. Harry's kicked 2. He doesn't know. He's looking at the other rooster and said, "Listen, when it was my patch, I was a Coleman medalist."
Do you reckon that's on the players or is this system?
I didn't see any great system. Harry, late in games, has been working up to the wings and taking great contested marks. OK, if that's going to be your role, then I'm really interested to find out. Harry's biggest opponent right now ain't the bloke that goes and plays on him. It's Charlie. Yeah. And the way they work together and whether they work for each other in space.
And also his consistency, his accuracy.
Yeah, well,
he's against himself.
But when you're talking Grundy and Gorn, 2 All-Australian ruckmen, how's that going to work? Hey, you got 2 Coleman medalists. How's that going to work?
Can you have more than one rooster in a forward line then?
Well, as my man said, it's okay. It gets dangerous if there's not enough space. So they've got to try and sort that out right now. I'm going to watch that on Friday night.
Yeah, it's a good watch, Gaz. Yeah.